We are kicking off with Raw, which rolled into the T-Mobile Center in Kansas City, Missouri, and Logan Paul was on hand to stir up some drama. Paul kicked off his promo on Raw to a chorus of boos and spoke of his WrestleMania win over AJ Styles before discussing what's left for him to accomplish in the wrestling business. Logan said there's not much left for him to do except win a world title and beckoned for Jey Uso to come to the ring. Before he could finish his sentence, Jey made his way out to the support of the crowd and said that he wouldn't lose his title to some punk-ass YouTuber like Paul. Jey promised to silence the noise and that his feud with Gunther, one which saw his brother beaten to a bloody pulp, lit a fire under the popular superstar. Jey dared Paul to come get the title, earning an eye roll from the Maverick, and Paul responded by vowing that he will take the World Heavyweight title from Jey. As for Uso, Paul said he will do what he does best, which is crash out, screw up, and lose that title in less time than he held the Intercontinental title. That clearly got to Jey, who shut Paul up with a super kick to the delight of the crowd, and while a title match seems likely, no further face-to-face segments have been announced. All signs are pointing to the pair facing off at the upcoming Backlash PLE in St. Louis on May 10th, and in many ways, Paul is the perfect choice to face Jey in his first title match. Paul is no threat to the champion's popularity and can lose the title match without losing his heat, as he is an exceptional heel who can always enrage fans as an effective villain. Uso winning at Backlash allows him to build momentum early into his reign and also move on to feuds that will ultimately define his run as champion. Having Paul now also keeps Jey away from Seth Rollins, who would seem to be the endgame for Uso at some point this summer. But what do you think of Logan Paul as Jey's first challenger? Share your thoughts down in the comments section below. Fans watching the show will have noticed a bizarre on-screen glitch as Paul was seen walking backstage as random characters replaced a "Welcome to the T-Mobile Center" message. It's very unlikely that this was a technical issue, and many fans believe that this glitch is connected to the Wyatt Six. The glitched message had several letters form the first word, including yellow, jello, kello, and zello, all of which rhyme with hello. The Wyatt Six glitches began with the word hello, as Paul may be the target of the group who have been missing from WWE TV for months. Seth Rollins opened Raw with Paul Heyman and Bron Breakker, but the trio was confronted by Sami Zayn, who questioned Rollins working with Heyman. Sami questioned how Rollins was any different from Roman Reigns or CM Punk, and Seth offered Sami a favor, saying he could arrange for him to go to SmackDown. During a backstage segment, Heyman tried to appeal to Zayn while Breakker was listening in the doorway, and Paul promised Sami a WWE title match if he makes the move to the blue brand. Karrion Kross was around to tell Sami to make the right choice, and this isn't the first time Kross has tried his manipulative ways on the Canadian superstar. In the penultimate segment, Zayn came out to give his answer and proceeded to rip into Rollins, vowing that he will be world champion, but it won't be because of any favors. Sami vowed that he'll win a world title the right way, and said that while he respects and loves his friend, made clear to Rollins to go to hell. Bron Breakker's music hit, setting up an impromptu match, and while Zayn put up a valiant effort, Breakker leveled his fellow former Intercontinental Champion with a pair of spears. Rollins again tried to get Sami to take the deal, only to be told once again to go to hell, and after a third spear, Sami was tended to by medical officials. Breakker ran around the ring to deliver his fourth spear, and the match was ultimately called off before Rollins hit Zayn with a curb stomp as Raw went off the air. This was an effective introduction of the new heel faction against Sami Zayn, who is as beloved by the WWE Universe as one can be. It'll be interesting to see if this is leading to Zayn versus Rollins at Backlash, or if someone else will emerge to defend Zayn against the Visionary following this week's assault. Are you liking this direction with Rollins, Breakker, and Heyman going against Sami? Let us know in the comments. During his attack, Rollins was seen delivering a cutthroat sign to Bron Breakker, and on social media, many compared this to The Rock delivering the same gesture. Rollins has already said that his soul is for sale, and could there be a connection between Seth's new group and the final boss? One that means Rollins can offer favors to the roster? Whatever the case, this is an intriguing, compelling story, and it already feels that nobody is safe from the bite of Rollins, Heyman, and Breakker, and that an agenda is at play. Heyman said on Raw that Breakker is the key to the plan that the group has, and we'll just have to see how that unfolds in the coming weeks. More from Raw, as last week Gunther took out his frustration of losing his World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 41 on Michael Cole, prompting Pat McAfee to step in. Gunther fought with McAfee before locking him in a chokehold, putting him to sleep, and earning himself a fine and a suspension as a result. On this week's show, McAfee returned to deliver an impassioned promo about who he is and what he stands for, reflecting on how he had almost forgotten that. McAfee called to the ring Nick Aldis, who was filling in for Adam Pearce as Raw general manager this week, and shared his disagreement about Pearce suspending the ring general. McAfee asked Aldis to reverse the suspension so he could fight Gunther, but Aldis explained that after speaking with Pierce, they agreed they couldn't lift the suspension. Instead, though, Aldis proposed that McAfee face Gunther at Backlash, a match that McAfee wasted no time in accepting, marking his first singles match in over 2 years. Pat's most recent singles match came when he faced The Miz at WrestleMania 39, and this will be his first overall match since a cameo in the 2024 Royal Rumble match. Pat has wrestled 5 times in WWE, including against Adam Cole in NXT in 2020 and a brief match against Vince McMahon at WrestleMania 38. Now the commentator will wrestle the dominant Austrian, and between that match and Jey Uso vs. Logan Paul, Backlash is shaping up to be a unique show, to say the least. With Gunther being kayfabe suspended, he wasn't a part of this week's Raw, and as previously reported, Gunther actually requested time off post-WrestleMania. His suspension was a storyline way to explain this break, and PW Insider reports that Gunther has been in the UK and was spotted several times in London over the past week. Sources within WWE believe the suspension will only last 2 to 3 weeks, not months as some had feared, and fans can expect the ring general back sooner than later. Are you excited to see Gunther return and mix it up with Pat McAfee, or should he go after someone even bigger when he's back? Hit the comments and let us know. Now, WrestleMania 41 came and went without an appearance from The Rock, disappointing fans who were eager to see the final boss get involved in Night 2's main event. During an appearance on the Pat McAfee show, The Rock addressed why he stayed out of the WrestleMania 41 finish, arguing that he'd just steal the spotlight. He said, "We can insert the final boss into this finish, but why get involved in that finish when that should just be focused on John, a 17-time champion, and what 2025 looks like? That is the anchoring storyline." The Rock also claimed that following his appearance at Elimination Chamber, he made the choice to step back, telling John Cena and Cody Rhodes that the final boss's work is done. The Rock also claimed that he watched WrestleMania from his couch at home, not from backstage, because he wanted to experience it like a fan and praised Cena's heel turn. Calling John the North Star of WWE, Rock said Cena would have this insane run as a heel, and according to Rock, Cena's heel turn came after a talk with Triple H and Ari Emanuel. Rock had plenty to say on McAfee's show, but on his Click This podcast, Kevin Nash had a different idea as to why WrestleMania was without the final boss. Nash floated the theory that The Rock was busy filming a Martin Scorsese movie, but his theory doesn't stand up to scrutiny. The Scorsese project Nash referenced isn't even filming yet, and production isn't expected to start until early 26, nearly a year after WrestleMania 41. While people love a good conspiracy, the idea that Hollywood forced The Rock to stay off WWE TV doesn't hold up, and it appears The Rock's own explanation still stands. Do you think The Rock made the right call by staying out of WrestleMania 41, or would you have rather seen the final boss get involved? Share your thoughts and feedback in the comments. A week after his stunning return on Raw, Rusev opened up for the first time in a full-fledged promo and spoke of a major change in himself and shared his goals for his comeback. Rusev was released from WWE in 2020, and despite spending years with AEW, his time being All Elite did not go as many fans had hoped for him. As Miro, he wrestled far less frequently than many of his peers in Tony Khan's promotion, and after his run ended earlier this year, is now back with WWE with a new theme and a new look. In his return, Rusev admitted that he lost himself when he returned to Bulgaria in 2020 and seemingly referred to AEW when he spoke about The Abyss. Rusev was honest in his reflection about why things didn't work out before he stated that his intention now is to take out superstars who, like he once did, have lost their way. Now Rusev claims that he has been redeemed and reflected on his lack of purpose during his earlier run with WWE, and this promo was concise and to the point. His message and tone were fine as he said most of his words with a serious, straight-faced delivery. It just felt too soon for anyone to explain their actions since he only went after Alpha Academy. He mentioned everyone in the locker room, so the timing would have made more sense had he attacked someone else like AJ Styles, Penta, Dragon Lee, Sheamus, or other faces on Raw. The promo caught the attention of many, including Rusev's wife CJ Perry, as the former Lana shared a series of fire emojis on Twitter, sharing her love for this segment. There was no comedy or fun-loving to this Rusev, and it appears fans will be seeing the Redeemer at his very best. Rusev's first match back will be against Otis, the once holder of the Money in the Bank briefcase, as the Bulgarian clearly feels that the powerhouse is among those who have lost their way. This year, Triple H took his place as a WWE Hall of Famer for the second time, but his friend Kevin Nash believes WWE dropped the ball on the game's induction. On the Click This podcast, Nash made it clear that he feels this year's ceremony should have been just about Triple H and without any other inductees. He said, "If you're gonna put somebody like Triple H in the Hall of Fame, he's the only one that goes in. His career alone is gigantic, like one of the top 10 of all time." Nash also praised his friend's in-ring work, calling Triple H one of the top 4 all-time in making people look better in the ring, before discussing the induction Triple H actually received. The game spoke longer than anybody at this year's ceremony, but that wasn't a problem, according to Kevin Nash, who learned plenty about his friend. He said, "A lot of people were just like, Jesus Christ, Paul went over." I'm like, I was absolutely enthralled. I didn't know a lot of the pieces of that story. During the game's induction speech, he gave credit to Vince McMahon, and Nash acknowledged how difficult that will have been given Janelle Grant's lawsuit. He said, "You know how thin the ice is on the Great Lakes, and you gotta keep walking and tell the what you need to about the relationship with you and Vince?" Nash gave Triple H props for balancing honesty with diplomacy and ultimately believes that Triple H deserved the ceremony all to himself without sharing the spotlight. But what do you think? Should Triple H have been the only WWE Hall of Fame inductee this year? Please share your thoughts and feedback in the comments section below. On the heels of her shocking heel turn and last week's attack on Women's Intercontinental Champion Lyra Valkyria, Becky Lynch had plenty to say on this week's show. Lynch admitted to attacking Bayley, leaving her unable to compete at WrestleMania, and blamed the role model for years of past attacks dating back to Becky's heel turn in 2019. The man shared that she had tried to convince Valkyria to drop her, but Valkyria refused to listen, and it wasn't long before Valkyria made her way to the ring. The Valkyrie made clear she no longer admires Lynch and challenged Becky to a match, but the man said she only fights when it matters, and that it did not matter in Kansas City. Valkyria then issued a challenge for Backlash, putting her title on the line, aware that Lynch would only agree to a match if she made it worth her while. Valkyria taunted Lynch, saying she was a better wrestler than the man, and while Becky had some words of her own as she circled the ring, Lyra silenced her with a dropkick through the ropes. She continued to beat down Lynch until Lynch retreated through the crowd, only to ambush Valkyria later on the stage to end the segment. This was the right direction for Becky Lynch, who held Bayley accountable for her past actions, giving her new character depth while embracing her role as an insufferable heel. Lynch propped herself up as a bigger star than anyone else and took pride in her attack, while Valkyria shined in this segment and made the most of a rare opportunity to cut a long promo. The Valkyrie handled the disruptive "what" chants well and had the crowd firmly behind her by the end, a test against one of WWE's most popular women that she passed with flying colors. If given time to tell their story, the match between Valkyria and Lynch at Backlash in St. Louis should be extraordinary, regardless of who leaves with the gold. In what many would call a dream match between two of the best women competing today, Rhea Ripley squared off with former NXT Women's Champion Roxanne Perez during Raw. The Prodigy targeted Ripley's knee, attempting to take out her base, while Mommy relied on her strength advantage to overpower the smaller Perez and toss her around the ring. Perez held her own against Ripley, but later in the match, Rhea gained the momentum and was on course to win until Julia interfered, drawing a disqualification. The NXT duo launched a beatdown on the Eradicator, only for Io Sky to rush the ring and make the save, but Julia and Perez would use the numbers advantage on the Women's World Champion. Ripley ultimately chased them away, leaving the Raw stars standing tall to close out the segment, a segment that had a strong match between two very talented superstars. The lack of a decisive finish may not be everybody's favorite, but in this case, it advanced a growing story between the top women of two of WWE's three women's divisions. It also continues to build intrigue as to whether Ripley and Sky can coexist when both women know that Sky's Women's World title is Ripley's ultimate goal. JD McDonough returned to the Raw last week to cost Penta in his Intercontinental title match, and this week Penta returned the favor by interfering in a JD and Finn Balor versus the War Raiders match. Penta shoved McDonough off the top rope, setting him up for War Machine and allowing Eric and Ivar to get the win and solidify their spot as the top contenders for the World Tag Team titles. The champions The New Day were around for this match, and Kofi Kingston was excellent on commentary as he gave props to Eric, Ivar, and McDonough for recovering from serious injuries. Kingston called the trio admirable in a backhanded swing at Big E, as The New Day believed their former ally turned on them by not returning to the ring following his broken neck. This was a solid match which helped build Penta's budding rivalry with Judgment Day, and could this see him reunite with Rey Fenix for a showdown with Balor and McDonough? That remains to be seen, but this match was a worthwhile addition to the card, only enhanced by the New Day's lines behind the commentary table. Now, Liv Morgan is one of the very top women in WWE, but fans won't be seeing her in the ring for the foreseeable future. During Raw, Morgan shared that she needed some time off to film a big Hollywood movie, but stopped short of mentioning the name of this project. Nick Aldis said that her request had been granted, and while Dominic Mysterio then tried to get some time off as well, there was no such luck for the Intercontinental Champion. We'll have to see what kind of a movie Liv Morgan is doing and whether Morgan's name joins the likes of The Rock, John Cena, and Batista as wrestlers who made it big on the silver screen. The last time fans saw Cody Rhodes, it was at WrestleMania 41, and while it's uncertain when he'll return to TV, the former WWE champion is keeping himself busy. A fan on Instagram shared that they met Rhodes at Universal Studios, saying that he is such a nice guy, as Cody continues to represent WWE well, even without a title. Ahead of Raw, it was announced that Stephanie Vaquer would be in action and the NXT Women's Champion would face American-made Ivy Nile. Vaquer weathered the onslaught Nile delivered and was able to overcome interference by Chad Gable before retaining her gold following the SVB. That didn't appear to be the kickoff of a rivalry, but rather a reason to keep Vaquer on TV and give her more time in front of a larger WWE audience outside of NXT. Vaquer is a star of the immediate future, so it's hardly a surprise that the creative team want her on TV on as many shows as possible. In an age where aura is a word often thrown around carelessly, Vaquer has spades of it, and it is being shown no matter which audience, whether it be NXT or Raw, that she performs for. Vaquer earned a huge response in Kansas City, and fans can expect the reigning NXT Women's Champion to be a member of the main roster sooner rather than later. As for Nile, this is the best she's looked in months, as she's never looked out of place against an elite opponent the caliber of the NXT Women's Champion. Ahead of their WrestleMania 41 showdown, Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton had a lot to say about one another, but what came after their title match in Las Vegas? Speaking to Alfred Kanoa, Stratton recalled beating Flair to retain the women's title and how the Queen gave her props in Stratton's WrestleMania debut. "Yeah, me and Charlotte, of course, after the match, it's kind of like a sportsmanship thing, you know? We said good game, and she said she's proud of me, but yeah, everything's good." Flair had plenty to say about Stratton before their match, including going off script, and in the interview, Tiffany admitted that this is a case of never meet your heroes. She explained, "Yeah, of course, I felt that things got personal and it's live TV, things happen, but I feel like everything happens for a reason, and this is how things were supposed to pan out." But what do you make of Flair and Stratton's interaction after their title match? Was Tiffany the right woman to get the win? Let us know in the comments. Last week, the first trailer dropped for WWE Unreal, a Netflix docuseries detailing the life in WWE's creative team, and this new trailer already shared some surprising insight. In the trailer, a whiteboard can be seen showing planned WrestleMania matches, with the footage reportedly from a creative meeting held in the winter of last year. According to Fightful Select, though, several wrestlers only found out they were in line for WrestleMania matches when they saw the trailer and had not had any talks with WWE. One source said the talent were left blindsided, and there were also questions about WWE having Asuka's name on the list, given that she's been out of action for close to a year. Sources said that Asuka returning in time for WrestleMania was a very ambitious stance by the company, given her recovery timelines. The whiteboard leak only shows how quickly things can change in WWE and how talent are often not kept in the loop, even when it comes to WWE's biggest show. A-Town Down Under were on Raw, and while Grayson Waller teased that he'd set up a tag match for next week, he instead revealed that he'd got himself a singles match instead. Theory, who seemed much more like a babyface, was unhappy about this, and could this be the start of the long-awaited split of A-Town Down Under? And that was this week's Raw, and what did you think of the show? Let us know below. It was in 2010 that Naomi was introduced to WWE's main roster, and since then the glow has continued to develop, including a recent heel turn. With that said, Naomi has plans and aspirations outside of the wrestling business, and on the Nikki and Brie show, discussed the challenges she's facing. She said, "I always wanted kids young. I always wanted a lot. Your girl's getting up there. I'm 37. Time. I've got to figure this out like yesterday." Naomi is the stepmother to Jimmy Uso's 2 teenage children, and on the podcast shared that her health struggles have made her journey to motherhood more complicated. She explained, "I'm definitely leaning towards it, but I've had health issues. I only have one ovary. Even if I wanted to continue wrestling longer, my biological clock, I can't." With becoming a mom still a goal for Naomi despite her health issues, the SmackDown star was open in saying that this goal will have a serious impact on her career. She said, "We got a lot to figure out. I have to step away and take care of my health and myself. If we're gonna have kids, with that on my mind and on my plate, I think that makes my time left here even more special and valuable to me. That's why I'm so passionate about what I'm doing, because I think this might be it." Naomi's been feuding with Jade Cargill, putting the Glow up against one of the strongest women in WWE, but outside the ring, Naomi's been facing tough battles in her life as well.